Hello guys. So we're going to be working on side control, how to control and how to attack from side control. The one thing that you have to think about it, before anything is everybody has a different body type, and every single person, they will favor one attack over the others. It's very difficult for you to exact copy someone's style because your body will never work exact the way he does. Everyone arms is stronger than the other. You favor one leg, you will favor one side, you favor one type of attack. So it's identifying your strongest point and then working on it. That's probably the most important thing. And side control is like any other position. So first, before you think about attacking, you have to think about controlling your opponent. If you don't have a good control over your opponent, then you want to progress to attack. The chance of failing are very high. So, before you're thinking about any submission amount, or, you have to have a good control over your opponent. Once you can have a good control and stabilizing the side control, then you can move to the next step, which is attacking. Then you'll be progressing your position. Then you're going to try for submission. You're going to try to mount, or in case he tries to turn, you got to focus on taking people's back. So the most important thing is how well you control your opponent. So that's how you have to think of first, and then next step is to progress in attack. So in terms of control, it's your opponent, he doesn't have that many options. Side control, you can think of many different ways to escape, but if you narrow down which way he can go, he can either turn left or right, or he can try to bring the legs in to replace guard. Honestly, those are 99.9% of the times. That's why you have to concern. Three things: not letting him move away from me, not let him turn to me, and not let the legs come in to replace guard. So those are your main concern. Keep your opponent pinned. In terms of being on top of the person, some people, they keep it very flat, putting as much weight as they can. Some people, they stay on their knees and elbows, so that means there's barely any weight on top of your opponent. It's, like I say, it's different styles. You just have to try to recognize what the best, the most comfortable way that you like to be on top of your person. It varies. I can say me, for example, most of the times I'm on my knees and elbows, so I don't have my weight flat on top of my opponent. And sometimes I do, but I would say most of the times I don't. And you take my father here, for example, he is more flat on the person. He likes to pin his weight into his opponent. And a lot of the times he's on his knees as well. But in general, he likes to use his body weight more. He feels that he can control the persons more for them to attack. So, it depends on who your style and your body type is, like I said before. And then he's recognizing your attacks. And side control, it's it's a simple position. If you one side, you don't want to keep switching sides, so you're going to focus your attacks on that. So you should narrow down your attacks to be more focused in what you're trying to achieve. You don't want to have too many options, and then you end up trying them all and not really focusing in any specific attacks. I think the best way for you to improve your side control attacks is to focus in a very few things that you like to do and make them work really well. You can see, you take the best jiu-jitsu players in the world, they don't have that many attacks that they're really good at it. They have very few that they were able to specialize on that. And, I always use, my father as an example. He can tell you the same. Everything she was, like a blue belt, he has his main attacks is knee on belly. From there is choke and arm lock. He's a specialist on that attack because that's what he always focused, pretty much most of his life. So he got so good at it that when you attack, your opponent knows what you're trying to do and you're still able to do. But if he probably would have choose to be very good in many attacks, he wouldn't be as strong as he is now on that his specific attack. So it's focusing what you're trying to do and really trying to improve on that aspect is very important. It's consistency. Nothing is easy. You want to be good at it. You will take time. You will fail most of the time. You will escape. It's attempt after attempt until you actually can really master, your attacks. So focus and dedication, is very important. So in terms of, how you position yourself on top, you take that photo. I think, you can honestly say like position the arms is like two main ways that you can hold the person on side control. Have the most natural way they go over the head and arm. Like I say, you can stay on your knees. You can try to pin your opponent down more with your weight, so keeping your legs back. Never both legs back. You always want to have one knee up, either one or the other, depends what your body is facing. Usually once you have the head, it's my body is naturally turned more towards the head, so it's more natural that your left leg it goes, you keep your knee. You can say, okay, my your other leg is flat. He can maybe try to put him back in the guard. Yes, because I can always switch and bring the leg in because my body is faced this way. If I feel threatened that he might replace guard, I just turn my body even more and I can bring the leg in. Now there's no chance he's gonna place back in the guard. I'm very safe. He wouldn't be able to gain any momentum by putting back in the guard. So it's, some people they go, if I keep my right knee up, okay, I'm kind of blocking him replacing guard, but I'm not in a strong position to attack. Then I'm just thinking about holding and maintaining that position. You don't want to just hold. It's the opposite. You want to control, but you want to progress. Like holding head and arm is a good way to control, especially, I can kind of use my shoulder, try to make him look the other way, so that way it makes it harder for him to turn towards me. But this, I'm just thinking of pinning. My options of attacks are very limited if I have my hands locked behind the head. There's nothing wrong with that. I can still try to attack with that, but I know my options will be very limited. I won't have too many options of attack. If you allow yourself to loosen up and kind of give yourself a bit more room, bring your arms back, holding the collar, like every grip you make, there's a reason for it that you should know. Grabbing the collar, of course I can go for the neck, but it's mainly if you're trying to turn towards me to escape, look, I can block the head so the head won't go. See, this is one way to stop the person going towards you. Let's say a very strong person, if you're not very heavy, you can't rely much on your body weight. So usually a big person, he can push and start turning toes, and then when you see he kind of going in the knees, now threatening to put him back in the guard. So that grip in the collar neutralize all that. The moment that he start turning, especially if I don't have my weight on top of the person, maybe I'm a lighter guy, that will completely stop him turning. If I keep my grip on his collar, I can either go into my knees when he tries to turn, look, he cannot. See, the head will not turn, the body won't follow. And that way you can keep the person, flat on his back. So that way completely prevents him turning to me. If you try to turn away from you, it's very risky for the person in the bottom because that's when they all expose the back. So the one thing that is very important for the person on top is to have a good reflex of putting the hooks in, because people make mistakes every time they turn away from you. Not that it's a mistake to turn away, but it's very risky. It's just one of my main escapes from side control. I turn away from the person exposing my back, but I do it in in the most secure way I can, not to expose the back, but turning away is always risky for you to get your back taken. So you just have to be aware and prepared every time the person is turning away. You want to focus on your hooks in, which we will go into that later on. Now we focus in position and control. Which leg do we keep it up? Like I say, if you want to keep both of your knees, I like to have both of my knees on the floor and both of my arms. I don't like to keep holding the person in unless I want to put a bit of pressure with my shoulder, but holding just for the sake of holding. You're too concerned about controlling the person, which is he should be the one more worried about you. You're in advantage position. So usually, I can, if I have the shoulder in, I can use my shoulder so that way he doesn't have the room to turn towards me. But I'll say, just holding hands for the sake of holding, then I'm just kind of just stalling, Every time the person, if he wants to turn away from me, he needs to free his arm. As long as his arm is there, so usually they push, the arm comes here, and that's when, see, automatically my hand goes into his arm. If he tries to turn away from me, he can't, because I'm holding the arm, and that's when they start exposing the back. So, you don't need to keep your arms locked to control the person. You can allow to give yourself a bit more room, because now, I have mobility, I have options of attack. I can attack the arm, I can try to pin this arm, I can switch to focus on the legs, and I can still, it always react based on what he's trying to escape. See my arm, just by placing my arm under his arm, in case the person tried to turn away from you, this will stop. And keeping my hand sort of into the head, if I feel him turning towards me, you grab the collar, and then you can, just by bringing your elbow up to control the head. And then when you choose to keep your arm over, I'll say having the arm over is, either you stay very tight to take the person's mobility, or if you're a bit looser, then you should bring your leg down. So you can see by holding the head, usually my left leg will go up into my knees. If I want to keep my arm over, see, my body naturally turns opposite. So now it's my right knee that goes up, because my body naturally turns towards my right side, which is towards the leg. So if I want to, have the arm over and keeping my left knee on the floor, it's almost, if my leg is turning to one side and my top body to the other. You want your body to always react the same way. So holding the head is the same arm that you're holding the head, the same leg. That's when you go. If you go over, then you push on the knee. People think, a strong way to control to hold the side control is to go on head and arm and lock arms. But this, I'm just concerned about holding the person. I'm afraid to react for it, so he won't escape. So you don't really hold your hands. Always hold your opponent. If I go up, then the leg goes down. Naturally, I'm pinning my weight on him, and there's a very good way that I like to use. It's very difficult for him to turn away from me, because now the moment that I straight my left leg, my body goes down, these arms are a lot more trapped. So it's much harder for him to bring the arm out and turn that way. So usually, the main focus will be turning towards you. If you see that they're going and they're very strong, I like to put my hand into the bottom leg, because for him to turn into his knees, he has to kick the back leg out so the body will turn. If I keep my hand behind his thigh, when he tries to kick the leg back, he can't, because the leg will not go. He can try, but if you try to, even this, my arm is blocking that leg to turn into knee spike. See, that leg, it will not go back. So once you have your arm over, I'm no longer controlling the head, so you can think, okay, maybe the options, one of the main skills on side control, they push the arm in and they start turning, then they go on the knees. That's one of the main escapes. So one way that I find that I like to defend, though, the moment that he's turning towards me, I hold the leg. See, my hand goes right behind his thigh. So my concern now, my chest, I'm pushing his shoulder. See, I don't want the shoulder to go in. If in case the shoulder go in, it's not the end of the world because I'm still holding that leg. It's very difficult for him to go into his knees if I'm holding the leg. He can turn into this position, but I can still, react. Now this is becoming to a fight. But now it's about pushing his body back. So I'm going to move in front of the body, and then I'll try to, pin him again with my body. Did you see that? Because I was in an angle, I move in front of the body. I had a bigger chance of pinning him back, but that grip behind the leg, it prevents him going to his knees. It won't prevent you going to his elbow. That will be the job of his arm. That if I'm holding, then he go nowhere because I can switch back and hold the arm. But sometimes they quicker, they go fast into the elbow and they turn into this position, which it brings the guillotine a lot for no here. You can go, I can go on the arm. No chest, go to. There's one detail that I like to do to hold his leg up. Then it's very difficult for him to get into his knees. I put my knee under his leg. There's a great detail that completely stops him going to his knees. And I don't need to use a lot of strength holding that leg. If my leg is back, I rely only on my arm. See, I have to kind of, use not a bit of power, but it's my arm alone fighting with that leg. See, he does not like it. When I put my leg under his, then he has no room to remove that leg. When he tried to push back, he is not just my arm, my leg is under as well. So usually, I'm quite successful at controlling that leg, especially when I bring my leg in. So it kind of, it helps a lot. So it's switching for the arm under the head. When you go over, naturally this arm kind of comes here. By going over, you have now your options of attacks. So those sort of Kimura, mount, and a few other attacks. So now let's move on. Okay guys, so now I'm going to show you is a variation. It's actually a combination of attacks. It's two attacks that they work really well together. Which, in terms of attacking, even defending, it's the more tools you use together, the more chance you have. If you want to focus in any attack, and if you're directly going towards that attack, your opponent will see it coming. He'll be able to react and defend in a much better way. But when you start combining, he never knows which way is coming. This is a perfect example of that, which will be trying to mount and at the same time attacking the Kimura, because the way that I'm going to show you guys, the way that you position to step over, he has to use the arm to defend the mount. So it's inevitable that he will expose the arm for the Kimura attack. He has to, because if he doesn't try to use the arm to block the mount, I will have a much bigger chance of mounting, because now he's not using one of his main tools of defense. So when he brings the arm in, and then we focus on the Kimura, and we can keep going back and forward. When he's thinking you're gonna go for the Kimura, now you can go back and focus on the mount. So in terms of attacking, the person, he can have a very good defense and make it very hard for me to achieve anything. Being on side control, I have an advantage in position, and I'm kind of paying him I have all the options of attack. He has very, very limited options of to do any attack against me. It's like it's very difficult to achieve. You can find a few submissions, a few attacks from the bottom, but they are very, very limited, very small. So for me to be able to attack, I would say any attack, anything I want to do against the person, I have to break his defense first. There's no point in me going like straight for the attack without changing his shape, without opening up anything. So he has two line of defense: his arms and the legs. Of course, the body, he with the movement is his way of defense on his own. But the main tools he have is arms, elbows, keeping the elbows close to his body, the hands defending, and the leg. Sometimes he brings the other knee too. But if I'm on this side, this is my main. This is how he blocks me almost with all my attacks. I can attack the arm too, but if this is very close, it's very difficult for you to go anywhere. So I would say the first thing that you should focus first is the arm, and then it goes for the leg. Because there's no point of me trying to create space with the legs if this arm is where it should be, right on my body. So I need to improve my position first, then you're going to go for submission. There's no point, attacking with him all close. Most likely you will fail your attack. Rarely you will be able to get something. So now we're gonna focus in the amount. Like I was saying, is combining the amount with the kimura. So if I want to mount on my opponent, regardless of how I'm trying to mount, I need to open up this elbow to put my body here, and then I'll focus in stepping my leg over, regardless if my knee going through his stomach or if I'm doing a big circle around his leg. I need the arm out of the way. If I ignore that, and if I keep the arm under my body, as I'm stepping over or as I'm going through here, this is too powerful for him to throw me, to push me away, to generate space. So I have to, it's a big mistake not dealing with the arm. So the first thing you have to do, there's many ways to do that, but you need to kind of isolate the arm. Now, when I switch my base, there's nothing underneath me. He cannot use the arm against my body to push me to generate any space. The arm, he can do other things with the arm, but never push me. If the elbow is here, right under my body, it's too much. He can, look, if he bridges, he pushes me away, it's too powerful for me to ignore that. So I have to deal with that. So how we deal with that? There's different ways. There's not just one correct. I think the most simple, and sometimes it works, of course, the better your opponent, the most likely he will be used to defend that way. But regardless of how you're holding your opponent, I'm just gonna push my leg back. I'm gonna pass. So when I bring my leg, I wanna put my knee here, my thigh, because then my leg will push the arm. So I'm just gonna move away from his arm until I touch his body. So see, my knee is on his body, no longer on the arm. So that's where I need to push my leg in, because now I can push his arm up with my knee. Now I was able to open it. I think that's a very good way, simple, efficient, to open the arm. Sometimes when that is not working, I can use my other leg. So instead of bringing my leg into the end, I'm going to bring my other leg and I'm going to put under his arm. I'm still holding, keeping my body close to him. But now look, I'm going to push my hips in to open his arm. When I see that he's in an angle of 90 degrees, I don't need to go further than that. This is already good enough. Now I'm just gonna go turn my hips down, and then I get to isolate the arm. So when the arm is isolated, I personally, every time I have my arm over my opponent's body, I hold the belt. every single time I have that grip, I hold the belt. Because, now he's not reacting, but, when you're fighting with someone, anything you're trying to do, any attack, any opening, he will be pushing, he will be moving, he will be, trying to escape, because that's his job. He has to escape. So I feel this, it gives me a much stronger grip and control on the person. Not that I'm gonna, use my power to keep me there. I just hold and stay very relaxed. But the moment that he tries to gain space, to move, to bridge, that he naturally attaches me to his body. If I have no grip, when he's trying to push, he can quickly generate a gap to escape, to create he will create a space and then he will try to escape. Once I have that grip, it's much harder for him to push me away or to move away from me. So I hold it, I grab, and then I switch my base. Now, knee touching his hips, leg out. Now, you don't want to be too tall and you don't want to be too low. Stay in a comfortable way. Now, that's when he knows. When you switch base, there is no secret that my next main movement is step over his body and mount. I isolate the arm, straight away the leg defense will come. This he has to. So usually now he's gonna play with both legs and the arm. He has to kind of leave the arm. There's one way that I've found very strong to deal with that, because like the same way you guys learn first is the same way I learn. The knee is there, you're gonna push. I push one leg, the other knee comes right up. So I have to take my hand off the other leg by the time I'm pushing with this. So one hand cannot deal with two legs. It's very difficult. So I'm gonna use my leg and my forearm. This is gonna be a shield. I don't need his legs all the way down. All I need is for them not to pass my arm. If they try, if I can keep his legs there, then I will have the space I need. But of course, just this is not enough. Of course, the leg is stronger than the arm. That's why I'm gonna bring my leg. So with his knee very close to me, I bring my arm in. So now look, I can push that leg away to bring my knee inside. See? The moment that I bring my knee in, that leg, you will not pass this point. So you will not get close to me. So that means I already create a big gap between us. The moment that the leg cannot be closed, he's gonna bring the other one. Now look, I have my knee, my hand into the outside of his leg. So that way he sees he cannot bring his legs close to me. And my knee is already pointing to mount. So my next step, look, is to drive in. Automatically that hand has to come. That's why I say when you combine your attacks, that arm has to come. Now he's holding my gi. But it's driving that leg through. Look, see, they have to. Because that shield I create, I'm keeping both legs away from me. Those legs, when they cannot close that gap, the person feels very vulnerable because he's open. I'm just breaking through his defense. He knows it's coming, so that they will try to control that leg. My father is grabbing my pants, so either they'll grab the pants or they'll put their hand in the leg. Doesn't matter. Whichever way it is, that hand has to come. Because let's say he does not. He decided to ignore that. If he ignores that, there's no defense. He cannot defend the mount after I deal with the legs if the hand does not come fighting to my leg. He cannot. It's very, very, very difficult. So the moment that I know now I'm trying to mount, look, now he's blocking the mount. The moment that he does that, he does make it very difficult for me to mount because the arm is busy. My leg and my arm is busy dealing with his legs. The moment that I try to deal with the hand, the legs will go right back in. I took his hand off my leg, but now the legs are coming in to annoy me. So that's when I say combining your attack. So look at the position his arm is now. He just placed his arm exactly where I can attack the Kimura. So now I grab. So now release the belt. And now we have the Kimura grip. So when I create the shield, the arm and my leg, they cannot come out of there. So that's when, this is very exposed. So there's just a few details, for you not to almost get someone and then they end up escaping. If a lot of the times that happens to me, the hand is there, I'm gonna go lock the Kimura and they grab the belt. It's difficult to break that grip. Against a strong person, the Kimura, when they resist, and of course, the moment that I have the Kimura locked, I can switch all my attack. I can, go straight for Kimura. There's nothing really stopping me go here, but then I came out of the mount. So, we wanna stay focusing in securing the mount or finishing the Kimura. So when his hand is on my leg that I'm trying to go, look, and he's resisting, I'm gonna move my knee away. See, the arm comes with it. So I just wanna create a gap between, I wanna move his hands away from his belt. Because it goes from trying to go forward, look, he's pushing my leg. So the moment that I pull my leg back, look, his arm come, and then I grab. Now he's away from his arm. Now when I lock the Kimura, his hand is far away from his belt. When they bring, look, see? When I lock the grip, he will try to grab his belt. He has to because, this is almost done. So he will move his hand to his belt and grab where he feels secure. Now, he has his first defense of the Kimura. If that happens, I like to lean over him and then step over to mount. Then I let go of the Kimura. I mount. A lot of people like that because all their focus is in the submission. They don't want to tap, right? You might as well give them out, but you don't tap. This is like number one rule. You want to give any position but a submission. Submission, fight over, finish. Doesn't matter how bad the position is, you can get out and you can recover. You can still win. Submission is done, finish, fight one. So when you lock the Kimura, he grabs. I still use that to mount because people, they don't really realize that you're still trying to mount. So here, when he holds it, but before I mount, I push. Look, see, I'm completely leaning over him. And, you kind of move his arm because when I lean over him, my leg go a huge circle around. So it's very hard for him to trap into the half guard. He cannot even see much. See, I lean and then big circle and then locking. Now there's no point in holding the Kimura. I let go. And you have the mount. The other option that we can have to finish the Kimura is make sure we avoid him grabbing his belt. So when I try to mount, he resists, I pull away, I grab, I lock. When he goes for his belt, I push. See, as he's bringing the hand in, I just go, I push quick to the side. The hand touches the floor on the other side, they have to tap. This is just like having a full-on choke or a straight arm lock. It's just that end that you need to go for the finish. So you cannot allow your opponent to escape when you touch the hand on the floor. And then you go for Kimura. Then you have to. It's, you know, you want to step over, pull his back off the floor. And then he's done. The hand touches the floor, he's gone. This is, you know, it's probably one of my strongest attack from side control in terms of mounting and Kimura, because I use a shield. You know, this is a shield that the leg will stop there. None of his legs will get any closer to my body as long as I have that, because now I have my knee, my forearm and my elbow blocking one leg, and my wrist and my hand blocking the other one. So now, you know, I brought the leg in. I can deal with both of his legs with one arm, by bringing the leg in. That's when he has to bring his arm. He has to. Otherwise, I mount. It will be too easy to mount. So the hand, they'll come touch your knee straight away. The moment that he brings the hand in, he exposes the Kimura. It's inevitable. He cannot avoid that. So he's moving the leg away. So you push it through. So you drive your knee through, which he will block. It's nice. So don't put too much air for going in, because, you know, that leg will block. You just want him pushing your leg back. Because when he pushes, when I move my knee away from him, his arm comes with it. He has to come, because otherwise he's not pushing. He's just touching. If he's just touching, I will go through it. But when he put resistance, he blocks. And that's when you grab, you lock. Now he's done. When you lock the Kimura with his arms away from his body, he's in an extremely dangerous position. Extremely dangerous. So you just change the whole game into almost finishing. 99.9% of the times, you lock someone, you lock the Kimura on someone, they need to grab something, they need to hold into something. And the strongest grip he can make to defend the Kimura, which is hard to break, is the belt. Anywhere else he grabbed. So, my father, he was holding my pants before, right? Some people put the hand, my father's grabbing. So when I move in, I lock the Kimura. That grip is very easy to break. I'm just gonna kick my leg, boom, down, you will break the grip. The one grip that is difficult is that is complicated to break. It's not just one pull. You'll break. Anywhere else he grabbed in my gear, his pants, anything, you pull, it breaks. It's very difficult to maintain that grip. So with an experienced person, he will go straight into the belt. He grabs the Kimura, the first thing I want is to grab my belt. And that's what I know will be secure the most. And then my next step is to try to, you know, improve my position. So